Okay, at least for now, KoRn's latest album, 13. 13, wow, that's a lot. The Nothing. What's going on, ladies and gents? It's Cyberland coming back to another album review. This time we're on to KoRn's latest album. The Nothing. So, even though this album came out 2 years ago. Let's just address the elephant in the room about it. So, Jonathan was married at the time, or actually before the album came out, and he had separated from his wife, and he had gotten a restraining order against her and barred her from seeing the kids. And the reason being for that is that his wife was on drugs. On some heavy drugs. And Jonathan has been sober really since Follow the Leader. He's just stopped messing with drugs and really just kicked it. I think he had a relapse, but it wasn't like the typical relapse. It was because he was on medication for other reasons and he got addicted to it, so he needed help with that. So it was an entirely different situation. It wasn't like he was going out of his way to do drugs. And him being a parent, he had 2 little ones with his previous wife. He felt the need to, he felt she was a danger to the children, which wasn't there, but obviously he did what he did. Unfortunately, not too long after that, she died of a drug overdose. I don't think they were divorced yet. I think they were just separated. I think he filed for divorce, but she lost that battle with her demons, unfortunately. And it affected Jonathan very heavily. And it would for most of us, Somebody you love and somebody you share a life with and also have kids with, and then they just, those demons overtake them, and there's not much I guess you could do. I know what, I'm pretty sure Jonathan questions what he could have done differently, or, but it just... So, this album encompasses all of that. Right when you start off the track, it already lets you know what this is about. It's like, why did you leave me? And it's like, already when I heard it, it's like, oh, he's talking about his wife. Like, you already knew. And almost every track on this album is talking about either something with her, something about their relationship to some extent, or the aftermath of what happened. It's a dark album, very dark. I haven't heard anything this personable with Jonathan really since the first album. I mean, the other albums had things here and there, but this is the last time I haven't heard something like this to where almost the whole album encompasses that. Other albums would have songs about different things, but this is like the most personal I've heard since the first album. Is that a good thing? I wouldn't say that's a good thing, because paint, as a head put it, paint is art. But that I don't wish him. For me as a fan, I don't feel like I want him to keep coming out with music like this either. Keep talking about stuff in your life, like the darkest shit, and make albums off of that. the first album had its place. It doesn't need to be recreated. This mitigating circumstance that happened, horrible situation. It's great that it ended up on a record, but hopefully it doesn't. It's not a repeated thing. I would hope. My rating for the album is a 10 out of 10 yes sirs. When I first heard it, I wouldn't have said that, but now as I've listened to it repeatedly over the years, it's very personable. It's very dark. The music is great, but the elements of what makes KoRn are there. It's just a different spin. It's not the first album. It's not Issues. It's not even the first 5. But because it's so personal, that's why I love it that much, and why I gave it such a high rating. It's one of the, besides the self-title and first in Issues, I listen to this just as much as those two. Anyway, my top 5 tracks are Gravity of Discomfort, Can You Hear Me, Cold, Finally Free, and The Darkness is Revealing. Nothing I don't like. I wouldn't suggest listening to this first. If you've heard the very first album, then listen to this. If you haven't heard the first album, do not listen to this. Because I feel like because the first album is so special, listening to this does that a disservice. It's like, listen to that before you get to this. Because Daddy, nothing on here beats Daddy, but I don't want it to per se. I prefer it not to, but it has its own level of uniqueness to it, if you get what I'm saying. With that being said, let's just cue the music.
I walk this road alone, imprisoned by design. This broken bell of shame is right here by my side. Higher than the highest gold, darker than the blackest hole. Feel myself release my soul, sweet relief my body goes. Hey, dominate everything I got on my plate. Feel the weight on my brain, pressure my heart is sure to break. I know it really wants to hurt me for sure. I know it set me up, it's death premature. I toss my fears aside, engaged in my denial. I'm lost inside this space of trying to be so vile. Higher than the highest goal.